That is not a pretty sight if you're living in these houses in France, and then you just see that. I don't know. Something tells me that would drop the property value if you had the site of a nuclear power plant. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to GeoGuessr. And if you haven't watched GeoGuessr before, this is basically a game where you are plopped on a random spot on our flat Earth. And it is up to you to guess where exactly you are on the planet. So we're clearly somewhere that has snow. So that is our first clue. And that is probably our only clue. I guess I mean, first thing I want to say is maybe Canada. But it seems like it's almost a little too southern to be Canada because I'm seeing some deserty plants. So I almost want to say it's like somewhere where it can get extremely hot, but it can also get extremely cold in the summer. So like Utah, Colorado. Colorado is actually something. It could probably be Colorado, somewhere that's in the Rocky Mountains because it's somewhere very mountainous. First off, we have to figure out if this is the United States or Canada. We'll tell the tale. I think it's North American roads because North American roads, you can tell by the yellow lines in the middle and the white lines on the side. Whereas a lot of other countries, you'll have like white or maybe dashed lines on the side here. And that like dashed lines, I would assume it's like Scandinavia if I saw that. Always make educated guesses in this game, because otherwise, what's the point? I guess, unless you're... Oh, wow. We're at a summit right now. Sage Hen Summit. I don't like how, it's called Sage Hen Summit in, a different language, but the big tell-all here is that it is in feet. The imperial system, America, because imperial is obviously superior because it's America, because we like to do everything different and not convenient numerical systems that just use decimals. 5,000 feet. I mean, there's mountains in California that are like 5,000 feet. I mean, up around here, I think there's some summits that are 5,000 feet. This is close to where I used to live back at home. 5,000 feet really isn't even all that much. It really isn't. We just got to find another sign to give a better indicator because I don't like this so far. Also, who knows? Like maybe Canada, when it comes to summits, I wonder if they use feet. Because feet, I do like using feet for measuring stuff. Elevation, that's just in my head. I don't think in terms of kilometers or meters when it comes to elevation. I can't remember. I know Canada uses kilometers per hour for their street signs, but I don't know. Maybe sometimes they'll use feet when it comes to measurements. That says 55. That looks like... Ooh. All right. So, I do know the difference between a Canadian and an American speed limit sign. When you see the word maximum, that means it's Canada. 55 maximum, although, oh God. But now I'm thinking 55 kilometers an hour is really slow. But when vehicles are towing, and you're kind of like on a mountain, 55 kilometers per hour, maybe? This is tripping me up so much. Okay, that still says 55 maximum. Trucks or more, 55 maximum. But it's deserty. I'm so confused. Madeline. No, this is American. Place looks all run down. Like on one side we have desert, on the other side we have winter. So it's a winter desert. This is the most confusing place where some parts seem like Canada and some parts seem like Mexico. It's like America there. Okay, it's America. Never mind. I'm just getting all tripped up. I'm pretty sure Canadian speed limit signs say maximum. So it's really surprising to see maximum on an American speed limit sign. Oh, this... Okay, well, Reno, Nevada, that's probably a little bit more commonly known, but I know Susanville, California, just because that's kind of close to where I used to live. So, okay, there's Susanville, California right there. And we're heading where? We're heading south. We're heading southwest. And we're going to Susanville. And Susanville is 73 miles away. Termo's 13 miles away. Madeline. Okay, we had just entered Madeline. Sage Hen. Okay, so then that's that summit right there. And then, getting it exact... I don't know. There's no marker for the actual summit. I'm not seeing, but it's obviously going to be on this road. So let's just say Sage Hen right here. This is the summit. These are just like trail roads, and we were a little bit before it. So we're probably somewhere right here. Make a guess, and then I will skip the ad and continue. and I was 1.1 kilometers off. So a little bit down the road. I went a little bit too far back. Actually, right at the summit. If I just placed it right there, I would have done so much better. But that's pretty much exact. That one right there. And I'm not even going for the hardcore GeoGuessr round thing. We just saw enough clues where it's like, we might as well just try to go all the way. So play next round. And we are in the middle of nowhere. I love this game so much. Oh, but this is not America, just by looking at the roads. See, this is why I said before on the previous one. If you see like all white lines, it's probably not America. It's probably Europe. And these arrows look very like straight edge. There's no curves in them. I'm getting European vibes. I don't think I've ever seen this before. It could be a country that I've never been in. Which could be exciting and also terrifying because it's the unknown. And I go basically off of memory when playing this game because I played this game a lot. I've played probably well over 100 episodes of this on my channel, like for the last 5 years. So I've just accumulated a lot of knowledge of just like stuff. I mean, there's still a lot of stuff that I just completely missed just because I'm human. I'm not perfect, but there's just a lot of stuff just by like being in a lot of the same countries. Like you just pick up on a lot of the similarities that a lot of these countries have. So you can just go down the process of elimination and you can get just a little bit better of a guess that way. But when you're there for the first time, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough. Okay, so there we go. That is very helpful. We have a universal food sign. All right, sweet. We know that these people eat. We know that it probably rains a lot here because it's green, so I wouldn't say it's like a southern kind of climate. Here we go. We may have our first hint at a language in 5, 4. Why are you blurred? Do not. There we go. We're in Russia, or maybe Ukraine, or anywhere else that uses Cyrillic text. But that's not good because I can't read this. And that is the infamous Russia, because you run into a standstill because it's a big country and it's a very green country, and a lot of these places don't really jump out at me. It looks like we're in the middle of nowhere in Russia. So unless you see a sign in Russia that says Moskva or I don't know, like one of the major, what is St. Petersburg, and there we go. I wouldn't recognize that, but yeah, I guess that's St. Petersburg in Russian Cyrillic. With Volgograd, I think that's another big one. Wouldn't recognize it, but I have gotten some exact guesses before, but I doubt I'm gonna get that here. So I think I'm just gonna skip this one. I'm just gonna drop, like, we're in some small town here. We're like just south of Moskva, make guess. Why do I have to keep doing this now? Okay, actually, wow, we were right outside of Volgograd. If we kept following down the road, we probably would have seen a sign. But I got a little too impatient there, just because I didn't want to deal with Russia right now. But, that's probably a good idea for how to tackle Russia. Just recognize the major cities, and just hopefully you can find something, a road that leads there. Because if you look at Moscow, like, look how, like, I love how Moscow is, like, shaped. It's just like rings. Then you just have like these arteries just stemming all the way to Moscow. It's like, you know, obviously not communist now, but like the Soviet Union. It's the centralized government. It's like a literal representation right there. Everything leads to Moscow. Play next round. So you'll probably see a lot of Moscow signs, just because there's so many roads that lead there. This looks like a classic American suburban Floridian, maybe not Floridian, town. They looked like palm trees for a second because they were so tall. But actually, it looks kind of Gulf Coasty to me. It definitely looks like somewhere that rains a lot. So somewhere in the south, Louisiana, maybe even like southern Texas, close to the Gulf of Mexico. Here would indicate that we're probably near water because of tsunamis. So everything is raised up. And I'm seeing something similar over here. We could be in Hawaii, for all we know. Definitely tropical and definitely tsunami prone or storm prone. I'm getting Hawaii vibes, but that's probably not a wise choice because I'll really mess up my score. Like, this isn't going to do anything for me. We got to find some indicator here. Preferably if you find the water or something like that. What is that? does that say? Like sometimes you can get like some state utility company that just shows up. Bulkheads and piers. Ooh, not gonna look up that phone number, but the phone number would obviously tell it a lot if you just look that up. Yeah, well, with those boats, yeah, we're like right on the water right here. Let's try and find the water for this place. You know, it's typical Florida towns. I would think that this is probably not Hawaii if you have this. This is probably the Gulf of Mexico. So it's gonna be one of those states that are on the Gulf of Mexico. Is that a thing in Florida? I feel like, because you also get like really bad hurricanes, and these things look like rickety shacks that would not be able to hold up in a hurricane at all. So I'm just not sure about that. Everest, of course, Mount Everest. But we've hit a major road now, so this should be telling. Especially something like this. All right. This has to have some kind of state. Give me a state. Waterfront lots. Admiral Isles. Okay. You're not really giving me an indicator of a state. Jaspy Custom Homes Incorporated. Better Business Bureau. I mean, that's good. A+ accredited business. That's just solid. That's a nice advertisement for Jaspy, which could be the name of the town, by the way. I don't know. Or it could be the name of the business. Like, a lot of times that's what happens. You'll see, like, the name of, like, the business is actually the town you're in. But, you know, we don't know that unless we start seeing that same name over and over and over again. That's just an advertisement. Guy stuck in traffic. You can say that again. Okay, going over that. Dude, I'm thinking Louisiana. We're on a straight up river delta right here. Like, how much water is all over the place? I mean, look at that. Look at that. That is like sediment that has accumulated over time. It is new land. Okay, but give me an indicator of a state. St. Louis. St. Louis? There's no way we're in St. Louis. What? It doesn't look like Missouri, but it could very well be Missouri now. I mean, you have to find one more St. Louis thing to really confirm this. Highway 603 in St. Louis. It doesn't explain the waterfront stuff to me, and now everything's black. Here, made it here. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, that is the biggest clue we've had so far. Well, I saw I-10. We don't really need to look at it, but St. Louis, Bay St. Louis. I mean, it's not possible. Is it possible that there is a second St. Louis? So we are in St. Louis. But what? Does I-10 even go through St. Louis? It doesn't. We were on I-10, which I know is southern because I know that goes through LA. So there has to be a second St. Louis. Oh, there we go. Bay St. Louis. We are in Mississippi. We're in Mississippi Mississippi or like almost in Louisiana. We may have actually even crossed the state, although I haven't really seen, I didn't really see a state line, but we had just crossed into Bay St. Louis. Took a bunch of roads around here. I don't know. We're like somewhere in here off the side of the highway, and then we went onto the highway and we're like, oh, this exit 603, we're in St. Louis, haha. Or actually, no, we were in here. Probably in here because there were boats and stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna plop it like just somewhere in here. Make guess. Okay, skip and continue the game. Oh, I was a little bit off. We were actually in Bay St. Louis. We were on Highway 603. We were on that road initially, and then we got to I-10. So, whoops-a-daisy, we were 6.1 kilometers off, but we got it. It's pretty easy to get the America ones, but I don't think this next one is going to be America. So let's continue onward to figure out what country are we in, and are we going to be getting confused today? Definitely not an English-speaking country. Etang de Caracambon. Doesn't sound like French to me. French is the only language I have taken, or only one that I've like tried learning. I took a couple years of it in high school, but high school for me was I graduate. Actually, wow. Okay, I learned French 10 years ago when I was in 10th grade. That was my second year of French. So that was 2008, 10 years ago. So, but what I'm saying is it's been a while. So I can read maybe like very basic phrases at this point. Definitely better at reading French. Actually, no, this actually does look like French. The Petit Chinois, Le Petit, it's the small something. I don't know what this one is. Chez Noir. La Maturité Grand. Le Grand's like something big. Tally. But we're definitely in France, so I'm gonna zoom in on there. But is there anything obvious? There's a nuclear power plant there, so that's good to know. I mean, I wish I knew off the top of my head where all the nuclear power plants were. But maybe we could find a name. And it could be like this gigantic landmark that we can see on the map. When we're really zoomed out, we might just get exact. God, this looks like Chernobyl waiting to happen. That is not a pretty sight if you're living in these houses in France, and then you just see that. I don't know. Something tells me that would drop the property value if you had the site of a nuclear power plant, you know, within like a mile of you. Oh, God. It is not the classic European view. If I move to Europe, I'm getting a pristine view. But, you know, maybe these are the less fortunate in Europe. And so they got to deal with the nuclear power plant. But power's probably cheaper, so there probably are benefits. You know, maybe you're not all about the pretty views and you're all about, you're a homebody and you don't go outside a whole lot. And this is a restricted area. Did we pass the nuclear power plant? I don't, there it is. Okay, I want to get to the nuclear power plant. I feel like I'm in an open world game and I discovered a new area. And I want to get to the big thing that is there so we can see it up close. But the Google car is probably not allowed to go in there. Oh, God, I love that. I love the human brain. I'm just like, here's a face. There's the bunny ears. Nuclear bunny ears. Is this the road to the nuclear power plant? Yes, it is. Let's go, nuclear guys. I feel like I'm entering in a restricted government area here. It's like, what is this secret project you guys are working on? I just need to figure out where the hell I am in France. Here we are. We're at the nuclear power plants. Excellent. These things are like I don't know too much about nuclear power, admittedly, but I know these things here, like these actually don't really make the power. Like the nuclear stuff isn't in this stuff. These are just these are the vents, basically, right? That like they just exhaust water vapor. So I guess it's just to keep everything cool. To the best of my knowledge, I just know it's like this isn't the nitty gritty of all of it. Like maybe there's a little bit of stuff going on in here. I'm assuming there's probably a little bit of stuff going on in here, but like the core of everything is still in here, I believe. These things just look really intimidating, and it gives you that like iconic Springfield Homer Simpson. Holy crap, we're actually like right up on this thing. I mean, anyone can just stroll up in here. That sounds kind of dangerous. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not giving anyone ideas. But, like, you could totally just, like, throw something at that. You know, there's no gate that rose. I just strolled up to the nuclear power plant. And I can do things. I could take pictures of it freely. I could be a spy from another country. Nuclear power. Okay, Dampier-Burley Center. That's the name of this nuclear power plant. EDF, Centre Nucléaire. Dampier and Burley. Let's look for like a Dampier. I mean, there has to be like like something with the name of the place here. You're close right there. Dampier-sur-Besbre. It's so close. So close. It's probably somewhere in here. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to be staring at this for like an hour. I'm just going to plop it right here and hope that there's a nuclear power plant nearby. Not the worst. Not the worst. Okay, let's just see. It was. Dampier and Burley was definitely the name of the place, and this is the nuclear power plant of the place. So, we were close. Ish. We were on the right track. You know, if it looked a little bit harder, we might have thought it. I mean, let's see. Okay, so Dampier and Burley. How far would I have had to zoom in to see that? Pretty close, actually. And it's kind of tiny there. And that's a needle in a haystack, I would say, that place, so... I'm happy if 164 kilometers. Play next round. We're in a tunnel. And there are mirrors here. What country? Somewhere in Asia does this. I know Japan does this. I've seen this before in other places in GeoGuessr. Maybe Thailand. It's ringing a bell. We're definitely in Asia. Just looking at the scenery. And going based off of memory there. Look like Asian letters there. I'm not sure about that. Maybe like something like spray painted on there. can at least get a language. Ooh, probably Japan. It's looking Japanese, I would say. I know China, I think, I'm not sure how much like street view there is in China. I think there's like a handful of places, but it's looking Japanese to me. But I could be wrong. Sometimes I have a hard time telling between Chinese and Japanese. But Korean, I can tell a difference. It's Korean, you see like a lot of circles, you see a lot of boxes, and Chinese tends to look a lot more complicated and it's a lot more boxy to me. Like there's a box and there's just a lot of stuff going on in one of those boxes. And Japanese looks a little more simplified to me. That's how at least I process it in my head. But there's some Chinese and Japanese that does quite frankly look a little similar. But I'm gonna roll with Japanese here. I'm like 99% sure that this is Japanese. Yeah, I would say so. Now it's feeling like Chinese to me. I'm staying with Japanese. I'm not gonna like this stuff to me. This looks Chinese, but this looks Japanese to me. That's if you're curious, like what my thought process is. But then you see this right here, Tokyo. It looks kind of boxy, looks kind of complicated. But then there's stuff like this, which looks Japanese to me. So clearly I'm conflicted, but I don't have really the slightest clue because it's not my natural tongue. But we're somewhere kind of hilly and mountainous, but unfortunately Japanese is like all that. So let's just go somewhere outside of Tokyo. Yep. Wow, we were far off there. View summary. So you win some, you lose some. We got 2 that were pretty exact in America. And then once we got into Europe and then Asia, we started falling apart there. So yeah, that has been GeoGuessr. So I hope you guys enjoyed this adventure. Holy shit, that almost sounded Canadian. That sounded like something a Canadian would say. Adventure? No, whatever. I hope you guys enjoyed this adventure, and I will see you all later. Yeah, you have to rotate your thumbstick. Okay, I got it. And then you have to throw him at a bomb that's like on the edge of the level.
All right, 9 stars. Oh, no, I threw him off the level. He's dead. I win.
Oh shit, I missed.
I can see you guys